up guys, it's Ryan and you're watching Ryan Vision. If you haven't already, make sure you like the video and subscribe for more. Normally I'm always showing something about the Jeep. Today I'm going to mix things up a little bit and show you what's in this black box. Alright, so let's open up this case and see what's inside. And there you have it. It's a DJI Phantom 1. It has a GoPro HD Hero 2 camera mounted to it. And it's just an awesome quadcopter, quad rotor, drone, whatever you want to call it. Everybody's calling them something different these days. But this thing's awesome. For me, this is a recent upgrade from AR Drone 2.0. That was a great platform to learn on. Really easy to fly on a smartphone. You didn't need an actual radio controller like this one has. So it was great. It kind of just, taught me how to handle the turning and gaining altitude and maintaining altitude, everything like that. And so now I've upgraded to this DJI Phantom 1, and this thing has a lot more power, a lot more speed, a lot more stability, way more range. AR Drone 2.0 is getting around 150 feet on the Wi-Fi control going through my smartphone. You can also do that with a tablet. This thing, I mean, it goes so far. I don't even know what to tell you as far as the distance, maybe close to a mile. So you can definitely fly this thing farther than you can see it. The range goes farther than you can see with your eye. So really cool setup. Today I just want to go through a couple things. If you're thinking about getting one of these, or you recently got one of these and you don't quite know what you're doing yet, I figured this video would be something I would have wanted to watch when I got this probably just a few months ago. So let me go through, show you a couple things that have helped me out, things that I've figured out and work really good for me, and hopefully they'll work good for you too. Okay, so one of the things that's been working out really well for me, and I was lucky enough to have it from the start, is a really nice carrying case. This is called a Go Professional case. It's obviously designed specifically for the DJI Phantom. You can see that the drone fits perfectly in there. It's got these rotor stops built into the foam, and it sits down flush. The case can close right on top of the drone, and as I pick it up, you can see that I've got the GoPro camera still attached to it. I don't have to disconnect anything to store it. I also have the altimeter on the back attached to it. Don't have to do anything like disconnecting that to store it either. So and don't worry, we'll go over the altimeter and the GoPro too. I just want to show you this case first because it comes in really handy. It's also got this cutout over here that fits perfectly for the controller, and you can see the antenna just folds up, and it's really nice. And also you just want to store the controller with this all the way down. This one will center itself when you let go of it, but I like to store it with this down, make sure the power's off. I keep these two switches up, and then I keep this folded up to the top. That's just my personal preference there. But this case holds everything. These are cameras for the batteries for the camera that I'm using right now. So those fit in there. That slot is actually designed for AA's for the controller. I need to get some spares. Over here I got an extra compartment. I keep eyeglasses in, so if I'm flying it far away I can put my glasses on. I just keep them in here. Up front here I have spare props. I've got 2 bags of these, so I have 4 spare props. That's great to have if you have a little mishap, you hit something, maybe you scrape some pavement and now you got a rotor that's out of balance. You can swap those out real quick. So along that same line, in this compartment I keep my charging cables, and I also have the wrench for this right here so that I can change out my rotors at any time. Also it holds my charger, and this charger came with it. And on this charger, what you want to do is have this over on LiPo, however you want to say that, and this one on 3A. So basically all the way left and all the way right on this one. And the charger is real straightforward. Basically also in this case I've got the charging cables, so you just go red into red, black into black, and then you got this connector that goes to the battery, and this case will store up to 6 batteries. And then you just plug this in, and also there's a little white connector on the battery. Turn this around. You want to plug that into the slot that says 3S, and it can only go in one way. So you plug that in, and that's because it's a balance charger. It's going to balance the cells out to the amps you choose here. So at this point you would just hook the black charging cable, which is down here. You hook that in here, plug the whole thing into the wall. This is going to flash red a couple times. These are going to flash red, and then all three will light up red up to 3, and then this will blink red while it's charging. And then when it's almost done charging, this will blink from red to green. I think it means around 80% charged. And then when it's finally done, this will turn green solid, and that's when you know you're 100% charged and you can disconnect it. So just make sure that you always plug in the white and the yellow both, and then plug it into the wall. So let me disconnect this real quick. So you can see this stuff's all pretty straightforward if you just get a little introduction and know what it's for, know what it's doing. I was a little scared, I'm not gonna lie, when I first saw this charger, because the AR drone charger, you just plug it into the wall. There's no settings or anything like that, so don't be scared of that. It's real simple. Then I've got my charger again for the camera I'm using right now to charge the batteries I've got over here. So it's just really nice to have a nicely designed case so you can easily carry all this stuff wherever you're going. You know, you might be going to the local park, or you might be going to the beach, you know, taking it on a trip or something. So make sure you get a nice case. Don't take shortcuts on this. Get something nice that carries everything you need. Okay, now once you actually start flying the drone around, you're gonna worry less about the flying part of it, because you're gonna get more comfortable with that, and you're gonna worry more about the camera footage that you're getting. So what I found is, you know, there's a lot of different options, and now a lot of these are coming with a gimbal, which is awesome. A gimbal basically stabilizes the image, kind of locks onto the horizon, and no matter how the craft turns, it keeps that image nice and level, nice and stable. So this is just a pretty standard rigid mount. It just screws to the bottom of the drone, and it's got a little wraparound for the GoPro. So nothing too fancy here, but what I did add is this, I guess you'd call it an extension, and I just happen to have it in my GoPro accessories. But you can see it kicks it forward, the mounting point, I'd say right around an inch or so. And what that did is allow me to angle the camera down a little bit, but see how the lens is in front of the landing gear? It keeps me from getting the landing gear in my photos and in my videos. Now every once in a while, because the GoPro's angle is so, you know, the lens angle is so wide, sometimes nighttime shots you'll get some of the red lights and stuff that are on the drone. You'll capture some of that. But as far as photos, this setup's been great, so you might want to look into that 1-inch extension piece. I'm sure you can get it on the GoPro website, but it must be a pretty standard piece, because somehow I had actually had 2 of them. So again, it just screws onto the factory mount that came with the DJI, and extends the mounting point forward about an inch, and then you can mount the bracket that came with the drone onto that. Now this little guy is called a Jolly Logic Altimeter 1. Now be careful which one you get, because if you're like me and if you're like my boss, we were just like, oh, there's an Altimeter 1, 2, and 3, we must want a 2 or 3, you know, just like a GoPro, that's the latest and greatest, right? Well, you'd be wrong. The Altimeter 1 works great for these quad rotors. It has to do with the way it reads the altimeter. Basically, we bought, I can't remember if it was a 2 or a 3, but it was specifically designed for model rockets. And so, you know, we did a test flight with an altimeter 2 or 3. I can't remember which one, but it said something like I did 298 miles per hour and I was only 8 feet off the ground, which was definitely incorrect. So this one's been working great. I believe it stores up to 100 flights. It's real simple. All you do is push the red button once, it comes on. Then you hold the red button down, it says launch, you let go, it says ready. And then from that point it records your peak altitude. And then when you get done flying and you land, it'll tell you your peak altitude, and it automatically saves it. And then you just press the red button once and it shuts off. So it's a really sweet setup. It's inexpensive. You can get it online. It's really lightweight. It didn't affect how the drone flew at all. So definitely recommend this. And it's just zip tied really firmly to the landing gear. It's been working out great. Alright, so the next thing I want to go over is kind of the launch sequence. Because that's the other thing that really kind of made me nervous when I first got this thing. I didn't know what to turn on first. Didn't know anything about what positions things need to be in. You know, there really is kind of a small checklist you should go through. in order to have just an easy time flying this. So what I like to do, and what you should do first and foremost, is get the controller out, make sure this is all the way down, and again, this one's going to center itself. I put both my switches straight up, and then I put the antenna straight up. So basically I'm in GPS mode. I don't have course lock or home lock on. That's what that stands for. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and switch the controller on. It'll blink for a second, and then it goes solid. So now I'm good on the controller. I'm going to set this out of the way. Always make sure you turn the controller on first. Okay, now I'm going to take the battery, and it's fully charged. I'm going to go ahead and open the battery door here on the front. And there's some wires in there. I'm going to pull the connector out. Okay, make sure that's out of the way. And then I always put the logo side up, slide it all the way in. And then this is, you know, just a little tricky. You'll get used to this. Plug it in. You're going to get the sound right away. Then plug the little balance connector there. Just not plug it in, but just, you know, push it in so it's out of the way. And then you want to push this cord in too, and kind of flatten this down as good as you can so you can close this door. And always check this door. It's just a plastic tab that secures it. You always want to check this door and make sure that it's not going to just easily pop open, because the last thing you want is your battery to come flying out while you're flying, you know, hundreds of feet in the air. So make sure that's secure. We're good to go. Another thing that you should do at this point, without moving the drone, once you power it up, it's communicating with GPS and everything right now, trying to find out where it is so it can set a home position. I'm going to go over that. So don't move the drone, but if you want to tilt it just a little bit, you can. Just leave it on the ground where it is. So what I'm doing is I'm powering up the GoPro camera. It's on now, and now I could put it on photo mode, which I usually take photos every 2 seconds. So that would be photo mode right there. I'm going to stop that. I'm going to go forward to video mode, and I'm just going to leave it there for now. I'm not going to start recording yet because we got to do a little bit of a warm-up. So let me show you what the warm-up's all about. So you can see that we've got some LED lights flashing on the back. Now the yellow is basically saying that the system's warming up, and the green flash there, that's okay. What it's trying to do is it's just trying to warm up the entire drone, the whole system, all the computer stuff. It's just warming up, getting itself going. And it's also communicating with the GPS satellites to figure out where it is. So what we're waiting for is, we don't want any red flashing. We want all green, a whole series of greens. So until you've got all greens, you want to let this thing sit here and figure out what's going on. So right now you can see we've got plenty of green, but we're also flashing yellow. We want to wait till that yellow goes away and is replaced with a series of green flashes. So I'll show you what that looks like as soon as it's done. Okay, so now it's flashing green. We're getting a single green flash followed by a series of green flashes, which means the unit is warmed up, it's locked on to the satellites, it has its home location. Now the reason the home location comes in handy, and I've already had to test this once, is if you lose sight of the drone, let's say you fly it so far away you can't see it, or you get disoriented, you don't even know which direction it is anymore. Believe me, it happens, especially in a sunny day. You could lose it in the sun. If you get into that situation, you can't see it, you can't hear it, and you panic, turn the controller off. When you break that link to the drone will fly back and land itself wherever it took off from. So that's why it's really important that you don't move it once you power it up. Let it find the home position, that way it can come back to you if anything happens. Okay, so once the drone's ready to take off, I'm going to show you how to do that, because it's really not tricky, but again, it's just something new for a lot of you guys. So what you're going to do is you're going to bring this joystick down to the bottom right and this one down to the bottom left at the same time. Okay, you can see it just starts spinning the rotors, the lights come on. So that's how you basically activate the drone. Now one thing I will tell you, and if you just let go of those, it's going to shut itself off in a second. But one thing I'll tell you is, if you're going to take off, don't be slow with the takeoff. Now this is your altitude here. So if you go up on that, that's more altitude. You come down on it, it's less altitude. And left or right is going to rotate the aircraft. and then this is going to lean it forward, this is going to lean it back, this is going to lean it to the right and lean it to the left. And again, this one self-centers itself, so you go forward, you let go, it's going to kind of just hover, you know, it's going to lean to the right. So this one creates movement, this one creates rotation and controls the elevation or the altitude. So what I'm going to do now is I'm not going to be gentle with it. When I want to take off, I'm going to activate it like I just showed you, and then I'm going to go up on this left joystick pretty hard to make it take off. You don't want to be gentle with it, because if there's a lot of prop wash coming off the ground, it's going to start going in different directions. You just want to push it off the ground. I know it's a little nerve-wracking, but just trust it, it's going to do what it needs to. So I'm going to activate it, and now I'm going to push up. And it's airborne. Okay, so now you can see it's hovering all on its own, and the way I'm doing that is on the controller. You can actually see that there's lines here, and if you put the center line on the little notch in the controller, it's going to hold that altitude. And since it's locked onto the GPS satellite, it's going to hold its position pretty well. Now, if I go up on the left joystick slowly, it's going to gain a little altitude. If I come down on the left joystick slowly, it's going to lose altitude. Okay, and the faster I push that joystick, the faster the elevation changes are going to happen. Now, if I leave the left joystick centered, but I flip it to the left slowly, you can see that the drone is going to do a rotation to the left. Now, if I want to lean it to the right, I'll use the right joystick, lean it to the right slowly, and it'll go that way. Now I'll come to the left, I'll go backwards, I'll go forward. So the best thing I can tell you is just start out with slow, smooth movements, and then work your way up and get some altitude and start playing with it. So again, we'll just press to the left on the left joystick slowly to rotate it, and now we're looking right at ourselves in the camera. And I'll come back to the right a little bit, and I'll go back to the left. So even though it's facing us, I'm still going to the left and the right as if I were standing behind it, okay? And then we'll get some more altitude, and then we'll bring it down. Now, if you want to come in for a landing, just get it where you want it first, and then come down slowly on the left joystick. You can even push up a little as you get close to the ground. And then once you're down, just push the left joystick all the way down, and it'll shut off by itself. Now, since we're nowhere near out of battery, we can take off again, opposite directions, and then up. Alright, so when you're done flying, you're going to have a red flashing light just like this telling you that the battery is too low to fly. So now if you had the altimeter, all you would do is press the red button once to turn that off. We didn't run it on this one, so we're okay. So what I'm going to do first, and remember my controller is still switched on. You can see the red light's still on, so since you turn that on first, make sure you turn it off last. So we'll go ahead and undo the battery door, carefully pull out our connector and then our battery, and then just break this connection just like that. So now we no longer have power to the drone. We can go ahead and safely turn off our controller now. Okay, and the only thing we have left to do is push the cables back in, close the battery door, and then if your GoPro's still on, you can stop recording, stop picture taking mode, whatever you're doing, and then hold the power button on the GoPro until the red light flashes, and now we know that's powered off as well. So now we're ready to put it back in the case. So I'll go ahead and I'll pick a slot for my battery, put that in there, and then the controller, I'll just make sure switches up all the way down. This one will self-center, make sure it's off, fold the antenna up, and that guy will slide right in there perfectly now. And then we'll grab the drone, and the only thing you gotta do here is make sure that the GoPro, if you're using this case anyways, is facing the front. And as you're coming down, just carefully make sure that the rotors are lined up with the rotor stops that are built into the foam. Again, that's specific to this case. That could be different depending what case you're using. So then just do a quick double check, make sure you got everything. You don't want to leave anything out in the park, or if you're out on vacation, wherever you are, you might not be back there soon. So just do a quick double check to make sure you've got everything. And as I was thinking about that, I forgot my glasses were on my shirt, so now they're in there. And I'll go ahead and secure the case because we know everything's put back and everything's turned off. So that's it for today, guys. Hopefully this helps you. Again, if you're a new DJI Phantom owner or you're looking into it, I'm just hoping that this video kind of takes the fear of the unknown away, lets you know exactly what you're getting into, how to take off, a quick introduction on how to fly, how to land, and how to shut everything down, disconnect it, and get it back in your case. So tune in next time, guys. Make sure you like and subscribe for more. All right, have a good one.